time on how the guy I was talking to was texting his ex-girlfriend the entire time we were talking. Let me just start off by saying that they are together now. Wow, shocker. But girl, I don't want your man. He was low-key my rebound. Glad we got that out of the way, okay? So this guy went to my high school. Basically, we start snapping a lot and like texting each other and just like, hey, how are you doing? Or like, you're fine as fuck, like whatever. And I text him, we should hang out sometime. Also, keep in mind, I just got in my 2-year relationship like a month prior, so I was kind of on my grind, if you know what I mean. Meaning I was a slut, okay? You guys can't say it, but I can. So we hang out and you guys, it went so fucking good. Probably would have liked any guy that would have talked to me in that state of my life but I did like him. He was like the perfect man to me. I absolutely hate saying that now because I really don't like him now, but like that's just the truth. Like I liked hanging out with him. I literally told my friends about him. I wanted him to like meet my parents, like whatever. We hung out for a few hours that night. We literally like were driving around, sat at a park and watched the stars for a good like fucking 2 fucking hours until like 3 in the morning. It was low-key romantic as shit, I'm not gonna lie. So I caught feelings for him right a fucking way because how do you do all that and not catch feelings? I don't know. We continue to hang out. We're texting each other every single second of the day. Like we're sending vlogs on Snapchat to each other, calling each other, FaceTiming, saying goodnight, good morning, all the fucking works, okay? Everything. Then I remember talking to him one night about like our ex lore because again, I just got a 2-year relationship. Like I had the fucking lore. And he tells me that like he had this girlfriend for a while. I literally had no idea. I feel like everybody, like all my friends, everybody knew that they were dating, but I literally had no fucking idea. He tells me that they've been like on and off for a while, but like they're off right now, obviously, or at least that's what I thought. So clearly I'm thinking they haven't talked in months, like we're all good. That wasn't the fucking case. Fast forward a few days, I wake up one morning, he's texting me good morning, blah 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 blah, and then I get this like, hey girly DM on Instagram. It's this girl telling me like she doesn't know how long we've been talking, but like he's been texting her the entire time. She was sending me a whole bunch of fucking proof. Like he was literally like begging for her back as he's like making me think that we're gonna date. That's funny. He literally sends me like screenshot after screenshot after screenshot. He was fucking sending her pictures that he just sent me. Like he was just sending the same thing back and forth. Like, oh, this is like no hate towards the girl whatsoever. Like, thank you actually for letting me know that this man was 2-timing me the entire time. Clearly I texted his ass and I was like, have you really been texting your ex this entire time? Are we serious right now? And he was like, no, not the whole time. And I was like, I saw fucking proof, but okay. He was just telling me that they're friends and like whatever, they just have a lot of history. And I was like, okay, why are we lying to my face right now? And the girl was not entertaining it at all. She was like, why are you fucking texting me? My dumbass was just like, we can talk about this in person, like blah blah blah. He's like, yeah. We literally planned on him coming over to my house. Like I literally cleaned my fucking room. I got all ready because you know a bitch gotta look good in that situation, you know what I'm saying? And then he's like, I'm here. I'm like, okay, come inside. Like I was waiting for him to come inside. And he's like, I think we should just talk in my car. And I was like, oh hell no. I was like, what the fuck? This man, after making me like really like him, thinking that something's gonna work, proceeds to tell me that we have to end things because he's not over his ex. Clearly. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I was fucking pissed. I was sitting there going off at him. I was like, you fucking used me. You're a piece of shit. Blah 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 blah. He was actually being really nice and I was just like the fucking bitch. He was just like, I'm sorry, and I was just like, fuck you. But yeah, we basically just ended things there. I felt used. I felt very sad. I was actually crying. We were talking for like fucking 2 weeks, but I was crying, okay? Basically, they are together now. I wish them all the fucking best. No hard feelings. But that is one of my many stories of why I'm never gonna date a guy with an ex-girlfriend again. Thank you.
How I found out I was pregnant at 19, 4 months after my wedding. It's actually not that like crazy of a story. My period has been pretty irregular pretty much since I got a period. Sometimes I would have cycles that were like 30 days and other times I would have cycles that were like 50 days. I was on one of those cycles that was super long. I thought it was gonna be like 50 days. My husband and I live in California, but my family lives in Arizona, so we took a trip down to Arizona for Thanksgiving. We were only there for a few days, but during the trip, I had like the weirdest cravings. Like I wanted McDonald's and Taco Bell so badly. Pretty much never crave fast food, so it was very strange. I also started to feel so sick, but I thought it was just a stomach bug. The entirety of Thanksgiving week, my Oura Ring and my Natural Cycles app was telling me your period is like a week late. Do you want to find out why? I just thought nothing of it because I thought I was just having a super long cycle. Anyway, we drove back to California the Sunday after Thanksgiving. When I got home, I just felt so like not good. I just had like a feeling like I knew something was up, especially because I kept craving Taco Bell like so badly. That's all I wanted. I only wanted Taco Bell. I've never craved Taco Bell a day in my life. I usually hate Taco Bell. Like, it's the last place on earth I would want to eat. We got home. We actually live with my husband's family, so we talked to his parents for a little bit about our trip. And then we went out to the kitchen. I told my husband, I think I want to go take a pregnancy test. He wanted me to wait till the next day because he didn't really think that I was pregnant, but I was like, I don't know. I just have a feeling and I really want to take it. So we ended up going to our room. We took a pregnancy test real quick, and sure enough, there were 2 lines. Definitely was a shock to both of us, but I think that we were both really excited. We immediately went to CVS to buy more pregnancy tests because we only had like cheap little strip ones from Amazon. So we went and we brought like actual like pregnancy tests, like clear blue, and all came back positive. And then we immediately went and told his mom. I think I was definitely a little bit stressed. We talked it out and now we're so excited. And we have a cute little baby coming at the end of summer. Honestly, not that exciting of a story. Like, I feel like some people have such exciting finding out I'm pregnant stories. Our story is just pretty, like, average, I would say. I don't know. We took a pregnancy test. We're like, oh, we're pregnant. We're so excited, though. I feel so ready to be a mom.
Get ready with me while I talk about how my ex's ex is crazy. Okay, so I've dated my ex twice. Girl, I know. It's bad. The first time ended off on a really bad note. He like called me ugly and I wasn't dealing with that, so I said bye. And he was talking crap about me to his friends, to like everyone. So obviously I broke up with him. So that summer I was praying I didn't have classes with him. What do you know? We have all the same teachers. So then this girl found out who he was and was like, I really like you and stuff. And she low-key stalked him. Like, I would overhear him telling his friends, like, she would stalk his, like, Instagram, like, everything. She even found out where he lived. So, of course, I saw this as an opportunity, and I encouraged him to ask her out. Trying to play the player. So, of course, he got with her. So, I asked him on the bus, because, like, we sat across from each other. And I was like, oh, are you dating her? And he was like, yeah. He was like, yeah, I am. Because my friend saw her wearing his initial, so I got the scoop. So I asked him because I'm encouraged to ask him. I don't know why I say encouraged, but it was true. They were dating. Later that day, I was doing something. I think I was taking a shower or something. I read on my phone, why did you talk to my boyfriend? Can you not speak to me? So then I was like, okay, this girl, like, what is going on? What? Beef for nothing. So she, like, texted me this whole paragraph saying that I'm not allowed to talk to him, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, whatever. So 4 months they've been dating. Me and him were talking. I swear I'm not a bop or a homewrecker. And then I realized I liked him. So he was like, I think he liked me too. So he was like, how do I break up with her? I just don't want to date her anymore. So I, like, sat with him on the bus and I helped him, like, text her. Then she kept going to the bathroom and waiting for him. Baby, he's literally not gonna go to the bathroom with you. What? Because he actually had to go to the bathroom. Anyways, me and him got together, broke up. I broke up with him because I don't want to date him. And he got a buzz the day he asked me out. What's not clocking to you? So that's basically the whole story. Don't date your ex. Please don't date your ex. It was yeah, but now he's dating like not my best friend, but one of my friends, and they're low-key cute, so stay together, please. Anyways, that's all I have for the story time. Bye.
Ready with me when I tell you about how I found out I was pregnant my senior year of high school. I've made this video before, but it's way down there and I've had some people ask me for one. It was first semester of senior year. I was 17. Me and my boyfriend had just gotten back together. It was a pretty toxic relationship and very like on and off, so not a good way to start this story. I was still figuring things out, but I just decided I wanted to do law school, so I definitely didn't think this was going to be my story. I first started feeling sick whenever I was visiting family in Texas. I started feeling nauseous every morning, but didn't really think anything of it because I was on the birth control pill. I was pretty terrible at taking it though, so it definitely wasn't 100%. And I just went on with my days not thinking much, which is very dumb of me. And then I was late on my period. I took the pill at the bottom of my birth control that like makes you start your period. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's the one I had, and it didn't make me start, so I was a little bit concerned for that. Me and my boyfriend decided we should probably just take a test. We went to Walmart and got one, and then went back to my house to take it. I took the test and then literally went and laid down on my bed and watched TikTok, seriously not thinking anything. Once it hit like 2 minutes, I was like, oh shoot, I need to go look at that. So I walked into the bathroom by myself, flipped it around, and very positive. I just stood there in shock, really did not know what to think. Started crying and like laughing because I was just like, what's happening? My boyfriend immediately knew what that meant and was kind of freaking out, but also like tried to calm me down. We agreed on not telling anyone, and then the next day was the last day of school before winter break. I was in NHS, so I had to hurry and get all my NHS hours in before the deadline. So imagine me just finding out I'm pregnant and having to pick up trash all around my school parking lot. It was also so windy, so I was just getting so frustrated and then just started bawling my eyes out in the parking lot picking up trash with everyone around me. I got so flustered and felt like that was the best time to go to my car, call my mom, and tell her. My mom is my best friend and the most supportive person, so I knew she was gonna be by my side, but it was still so nerve-wracking obviously telling her. I'm bawling my eyes out and finally get the words out. She immediately tells me everything's gonna be okay and we're gonna figure this out. But later she told me that she was bawling her eyes out after she got off the phone with me and didn't know what to do. Makes me sad. I did, however, end up getting all my NHS hours in, so good for me. Since that was the last day of first semester, I switched to online and never went back to school. I don't think anyone really thought much of it at the time because I only had 2 in-person classes before that, and I feel like it was pretty normal for people to be online at my school. Looking back, I don't know if I was more scared of becoming a mom or what people would think of me. So that's a little bit of my story on my teen pregnancy. Let me know if y'all want to hear about any more stories or have any questions. Bye!
Get ready with me for a date. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little bit over dating at this point. Guys, like genuinely, it's so tiring. I went on a date last night. It was really good, but tonight I'm going on a 3rd date. So that's promising, but I'm gonna keep it really real. I don't honestly know how interested I am, but that's okay. I feel like in Utah, there's just a lot of pressure to like have things figured out super early on, and I don't really like that. So honestly, I just be out here taking things at my own pace because I'm not gonna be pressured by anybody into like dating, being in a relationship. Like genuinely tons of people here start dating after like the 3rd date, and I just say, not for me, not for me. I think also part of that is because I've been in relationships before where I felt a bit trapped. And your girl's trying to avoid that, so I'm dating so much, like so many different people, and honestly I feel great about that. So anyways, tonight we're going up the canyon and we're doing a bonfire, which I feel great about, besides the fact that I did literally just wash my hair today and now it's gonna smell like smoke. Honestly, I will say I do love when a guy like actually puts an effort into planning a date, so I'm not complaining at all. If I'm keeping it so real though, I honestly have absolutely no idea what on earth I'm gonna wear to this. So let's hope they can find something good. I feel like I need to like really layer up because it's obviously gonna be dark and cold. And I live in Utah, so it's like obviously cold. But I don't know. Also, here's the thing, I've kind of given up on caring what I look like on dates. Like if my outfit is ratchet, like I don't really care. Guys, side note, but my eyelash curler genuinely is like so broken. So I'm gonna cry. I need a new one. I don't really wear mascara, so like my eyelash curler, like I count on you, girl. Make my lashes look good. Just got word he's not gonna be here for another hour. Guys, low-key, like I kind of like being in a rush. Like I hate just sitting around and having nothing to do. Another side note, I have been thinking about getting a lip flip. So tell me if I should or not, please. Okay, also, I have super thick brows. They're also like really coarse. So basically no product holds my brows in place like I want it to. I've tried everything to the moon and back, I swear. So if you know any products, please let me know. Also guys, recently when I've wanted to feel a bit more batty, I've been tightlining my waterline with like brown eyeliner because I have green eyes. Well, I've kind of been liking it, but I'm not doing that today. Boom, okay, I'm done. Except I'm gonna set my face. So genuinely, I'm pretty sure that stuff is just hairspray, but I love it anyway. Okay, that's all, bye.
Okay, hi guys. So I'm gonna give a story time today of like, it's kind of a crazy story time about me and my boyfriend. We're still together, but I just kind of want your guys' opinions on this because it happened in like the beginning of July and it's now obviously February. But I just kind of like, I was thinking about it last night and I'm just like, I want some of your guys' opinions on this because this is actually insane. So hold on. Okay, so it starts off beginning of July. It's a Friday night. The fair was in my town. So I was like, hey, we always hang out on Fridays, mind you. He's more of like a partier type. I'm more of a like stay at home, lay on the couch type. Okay, but it's a Friday night. We're like, we're gonna go to the fair. So he ends up canceling on me. Mind you, his parents are out of town this weekend. He ends up canceling on me, saying how, oh, he's gonna have a couple friends over, like, but I mean, I can come over if I want, but I'm like, we made plans to go to the fair. Like, some of my friends were going to the fair. I'm like, I want to go to the fair. So he's like, okay, whatever. And we also had plans. I was gonna come over on Saturday to his house, but then he cancels on me. So obviously, like, I'm mad. Like, I don't want to hang out with him. I'm not talking to him because, like, I'm mad. We had plans. We always hang out on Fridays. Like, that's our thing. We always, like, no matter what, hang out on Fridays. But he decides to not hang out. So I'm just, like, really mad. Okay, so now Saturday rolls around. And then I have plans. Me and my boyfriend, we were going to hang out on Saturday. Like, we originally had plans to. Like, I was just gonna come over to his house. He was probably gonna have like a couple friends over. We're just gonna hang out. But then I'm obviously still mad from Friday. So I'm like, we're not talking. So like, no communication whatsoever. So then my friend asked, like, hey, do you want to go to the fair with me tonight? And I'm like, yeah, like, I have nothing else to do. Me and my boyfriend aren't talking. We were gonna hang out, but like, he hasn't asked me to come over or anything. So then me and my friend go to the fair. We go to the fair. And then we're tired of the fair. I just go home. She goes home. And then I get on TikTok and I see a bunch of people, I look on Snapchat. A bunch of, like, people are at his house. Like, boys and girls. Like, the whole, like, county is there. But yet he didn't tell me that he said he was going to have a couple friends. He never told me that there were going to be a bunch of girls coming over, a bunch of boys coming over. He just said, like, a couple of friends. And he doesn't, like, tell me this or invite me to come over. So I'm obviously, like, so mad. And I see on, like, TikTok stories, everyone's at his house, like, dancing, posting on TikTok. I'm like, nice. Because, like, these are girls that he doesn't go to school with either. They go to a different school and they're at his house. So I'm obviously, like, livid. Okay, so now me and him are, like, arguing over the phone because, like, he did not tell me that he was going to have this many people over, one, or two, invite me, his girlfriend, invite me to his house when there are a bunch of other girls there. And then, mind you, I was literally texting this girl who was there. And, like, she wasn't even, like, in his grade. She was older, and I don't know. I was just mad. So me and him are now arguing over the phone. Okay, so we're arguing. I'm like, I'm just gonna call you. So, mind you, he goes in his room. We're on the phone. And while we're on the phone, a girl literally walks into his room. And then apparently the girl was fighting with her boyfriend. But, like, why are you going into my boyfriend's room? Like, that's just, like, really weird. And, like, you don't need to be in there. Because, one, he's in there. Like, obviously the door was definitely closed. And, like, she just walked in. Okay, so this is where it gets, like, bad. He's like, I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. Like, I should have told you. I should have invited you. I'm like, okay. He's like, you know, we're going to hang out tomorrow. Like, I'm going to come over to your house early. Like, everything's going to be okay. I'm like, okay. So I go to bed. Next morning, I'm texting him. It's like 9 o'clock. I'm like, hey, when are you coming over? And at like 10 o'clock, I get invited on like a boat with my family. So then I'm going to go, and he was invited too. So like, I was like, I'm going to go on the boat with my family. I was like calling him. He wasn't answering. I was texting him. He wasn't answering. I'm like, hey, you're invited to go on the boat. Like, let's go on the boat. You said you were going to hang out with me. Like, let's hang out. And he never responds, like, at all. So then I don't like thinking of this story. Okay. So then I end up going on the boat because, like, he's not answering me. I don't want to waste my Sunday. Like, I don't want to just be sitting at home thinking we might hang out because, like, he's not even answering me. So I go on the boat. He doesn't respond until 1 in the afternoon. So I'm just like I genuinely don't even know what to think. Okay, so obviously when he doesn't respond until 1 in the afternoon, I'm like, okay, you were cheating on me. Like, why else wouldn't you respond? Like, did someone spend the night? Like I don't know. And then he claims, I lost my phone. It was outside. No person ever loses their phone. Like, that just, like, doesn't happen. So I'm just like, he was like, I had to pick up trash in the morning and I couldn't find my phone. He's like, I have so many missed calls from Jonah, which is, like, gonna be his stepbrother. But, like, I never saw those missed calls when we hung out later that night. So he just claimed he lost his phone outside. No person loses their phone outside. Okay, so I had to work that night after I got off the boat. So, like, I was obviously still mad. I wanted nothing to do with him. I didn't want to talk to him, like, anything. He's like, please, like, let me come over. We'll talk about this. And he literally just, like, explained everything that I already told you guys. But, like, I really still don't believe it. So, let me honestly know your thoughts, because I don't believe it at all. And let me know if you guys want some other kind of insane story times. Bye, guys.
Pretty sure that my ex-husband cheated on me while in Vegas, and I ended up with an STD. I can't believe I'm going to talk about this. Several years ago, it had to be back in like 2018, my husband and I went to Las Vegas for a long weekend. We were there with a group of friends, and we were kind of bopping around trying to find the next party we wanted to go to. We had a great time, but at some point that night, I was just kind of like over the day. I was exhausted. I wanted to go to bed, so I called it a night, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to the room and go to sleep. Everybody else decided to stay up, party, gamble, etc. The next day, we get up, we have a slow morning, we go and get breakfast, and we get back to the hotel, and my ex-husband and I do the deed. After that, we go to a foam party during the day, you know, bathing suits, in a pool, Vegas, foam, the whole nine. And we have some fun. It's not until the day after that I'm kind of hurting a little bit. I am uncomfortable, let's put it that way. And that was the same day that we were supposed to be flying home. My literal holy grail that's in every video. By the time I'm on the flight, it is unbearable. For the ladies in my comments, you know that type of pain. You are itchy, uncomfortable, you are shifting in your seat, you are doing all of the maneuvers, going to the bathroom every 5 minutes, and just wildly, wildly uncomfortable. Another holy grail. I ended up going to a doctor that would see me just right away. I literally couldn't care which doctor it was, I just needed to go right away. They make you go through the whole hoopla, pee in a cup, they test you for things, X, Y, and Z, and it comes back that I have chlamydia. Now, as I'm talking to my doctor, I'm kind of running through my weekend. I'm telling him I'm in Vegas, I'm telling him I'm in a pool, and I'm telling him that there's no way in hell my ex-husband would cheat on me. He must have looked at me like I was crazy, but me, in my young, naive head, I was like, there's no way. And he probably was like, there's a way, but okay, we could go with the pool story. And if you look into it, there is a very slim chance that an STD can be passed through a pool. But I'm pretty sure that late night that I went to bed and he stayed up, he was not so innocent. Of course, I second guessed my gut, and of course I questioned him, but of course, once again, he was a master manipulator, and he talked his way out of the story and made me believe it truly was the pool. As always, I will tell you guys to start listening to your gut, start listening to that little voice inside your head, and stop listening to their excuses. Learn from my mistakes and my 15-year failed, very toxic, very awful relationship with an addict, a narcissist, and an alcoholic.
Story time is the time I got caught lying about going to work when really I was going to my boyfriend's house. Basically, I got my first job when I turned 16, and I started working at McDonald's with my boyfriend, and usually we would work at the same time, and if we didn't, like if I worked and he didn't work, I would go to his house first after school, and then from there go to work. It started off like that, where I would just like go to his house before work, and like obviously I wouldn't tell my parents. I had really strict parents, mainly my dad. He was the most strict between the two. He wouldn't let me go out. Like, I was not allowed to have a social life. He didn't like that I would go out. He would say that I was just being like chismosa en las calles, and like I had no business being out, basically, you know, much less have a boyfriend. I ended up switching McDonald's to a different one closer to my house because I no longer went to the same school that was close to that McDonald's. So it wasn't like convenient for me to go to a whole different city just to work. And that's when I started, you know, getting a little bit more sneaky, and I would lie and say that I was going to work sometimes when in reality I was going to my boyfriend's house. One specific weekend I said I worked and I did not, but I also worked with my cousin, so she actually had to go to work. But basically I took her to work and then I went to my boyfriend's house. So I was at my boyfriend's house and all of a sudden I get a phone call. Mind you, I was taking a nap. I get a phone call or a text message and my mom was like, "Where are you?" And I said, "At work." And she said, "I'm here and I don't see you." And I said, "Well," I said, "My manager sent me to a different location to pick up something." Because sometimes, like, if we were out of stock of something and we really needed it, we would go to a different location and pick it up. Our manager would send us, obviously, if you wanted to. So I said that because I have done that in the past. So I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." I was like, "Oh, my manager sent me to pick up something from another store." And she was like, "That's a lie." He said, "That's a lie." And I at first initially thought like it was my cousin that like basically said that I wasn't there and that I was lying. So I thought it was her fault. And I was like, "Oh, that fucking bitch." So obviously I got my shit and I went home because I was like, clearly I need to go home. So I went home. I was shitting my pants on my way home because I was scared, because my dad also knew that I was lying. And I was scared of my dad. But clearly not scared enough because I still did it. But I got home and of course I got in trouble. They yelled at me. And I think my dad took away my car. Yeah, he did. My dad took away my car. So I couldn't use my car anymore. Like, girl, how are you gonna go to work now? He eventually gave it back to me fast, but like, yeah, he was mad. I show up to my next shift at my job and I'm working, you know, I forgot about the whole problem already. My manager shows up, intimidated. He showed up and he was like in a very serious tone. He said, "Genesis, could you come talk to me for a bit?" And I was like, "Oh shit, what did I do?" And again, I forgot what I had gone through with my parents. He basically says, "So your mom told me that you were lying about being at work when you weren't." And I was like, oh my god. I was so embarrassed, as I should be, because that's embarrassing as fuck. And he was like, "And you lied about saying that I sent you to go pick up something somewhere else, which is not okay. Like, you know, just give me a little tiny lecture." He was honestly very chill about it and very nice. But yeah, that's basically where that ended. Psych, it didn't. I kept doing it, and honestly, sometimes I would do it and my mom knew, so that I can go out. Like, she gave me the permission to go out, but she just said, "Oh, just lie and say you're going to work." So like, I'm not trying to influence you guys to lie to your parents and sneak behind their backs. And it would get so bad because sometimes since my mom knew I closed and she is a coffee lover, she drinks coffee like 3 times a day, she would always tell me, "Bring me coffee when you get home." So, you know, that made it a little harder to go to my boyfriend's house and then go home. So basically what I would do is I would go to his house like normal after work, and then when I was ready to go home, I would stop by at a McDonald's first, a random McDonald's by my house, and I would go get her coffee. The things I would do, like, oh my gosh, honestly, it's embarrassing talking about it now, but you know. Yeah, basically that's the end of the story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it and was entertained with it. If you want more story times, let me know.
Word to the wise. If you thinking about letting a friend move in with you, don't. Story time. Y'all already know what time it is. Did y'all miss me or what? I missed you too. Now let's just hop straight into the story, okay? Now, just for a little bit of context, I got to give y'all just a little bit of history about me before getting into the actual reading, so it makes sense. So, I bought my house when I was 21. I'm now 26. When I bought my house, it was 2020, end of September. At the time, I was dealing with this dude, and of course, I didn't know, but I was in for a hell of a fucking ride. That being said, I know the ins and outs of a very toxic domestic violence type of situation relationship, right? Very experienced with it. I dated him on and off for about 5 years. Now, at the time, it was just the beginning. So I had no idea what I was in for real. All of that being said, let's get into the story. For the sake of the story, we're going to call her Tiffany. Now, I met Tiffany around 2020. Tiffany is an esthetician. Now, one thing about it, I'm going to support a black business down. And then you a woman too? Yeah. So don't even worry about it. I'm there. On top of that, Tiffany came in clutch. Nobody else was open. At the time, I was going to this chain wax place called, like, I think it's like Andrea or Wax by Andrea, something like that. So to go from a chain place to an individual person, and then she charging really good prices. Yeah. And she was having my shit. Like, when I first went to her from them, I had like little ingrown hairs, discoloration. And to be completely honest, she got me the fuck together. Smooth, baby bottom, no more discoloration. All of that. I was fucking with Tiffany, period. Kept the punani cute. Now, being that me and her started off as esty besties or whatever, we ended up developing a friendship, you know? Now, Tiffany didn't know me like that, and I didn't know Tiffany like that. But naturally, you know, somebody all in your no square, you're gonna start talking about stuff. I mean, you already in my business. I might as well give you a little bit of insight, you know? So, you know, years go by, and now me and Tiffany have been friends for 5 years. Now, Tiffany was always really confused. She loved me. She loved my vibe. I was always very blunt. You know, she was also one of those type of people that was like a rooter. Like, she was always going to be rooting for you, regardless of what you were doing. Also, when I met Tiffany, I was in my dance bag heavy. I'm not going to call it no midnight ballerina, bitch. I was a stripper. Yes. Because I'm tired of y'all sugarcoating shit. So one thing Tiffany would notice is that I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't hang around a lot of people. And the friends that I did have, I was very protective of them because at the time I thought they were my friends. But as the story go, you know, them hoes really wasn't my friends. And Tiffany would start to see that. And obviously she only had my side of the story to go off of, but I feel like she put 2 and 2 together. She liked my vibe. She started to get to know me. So I feel like she started to see certain things, put 2 and 2 together, and was like, yeah, you're not tripping, you know? Needless to say, Tiffany was there for a good chunk of friends, you know, exiting out my motherfucking life. And it was actually an incident with her and a friend of mine. We went to this spa that she invited us to, and everything was really cool, good vibes. My friend at the time, well, the bitch ain't my friend, but she was at the time. She was an Aries. Tiffany is a Cancer. I'm a Virgo. So they kind of butted heads a little bit. And at the time, Tiffany had said something to the friend that I was not fucking with. Because one thing about it, you have certain friends for certain things. And that bitch, I already was feeling like I couldn't tell her my business. So clearly, even though me and the other girl had been friends longer, I trusted Tiffany a lot more. Now, being that that was our first incident, I'm not gonna lie, I just slick cut her ass off. I didn't even tell her that I was irritated with her. Yeah, I was pissed, because, bitch, you got me fucked up. Just because I tell you something don't mean that you just open your mouth and say something to somebody else. Now, granted, this was her first incident with me. She didn't even know I was mad. She just so happened to call me, y'all, asking about her engagement ring. And I'm like, you called me about a ring? And she's like, oh my God, what's going on? Now, she is older than me, right? By like maybe 7 or 8 years. So when I told her the issue and what had happened and how I felt, it was literally like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She took accountability. You know, I hate that I made you feel that way. I'm calling you about a ring. I don't even know there's anything going on. And I love that response, right? Because I'm used to bitches trying to try me like I'm tripping. And, you know, to have somebody to take accountability, look in the mirror, apologize, even if she may not have felt like she was wrong in the situation, that was a breath of fresh air to me. So not only did that solidify our friendship and make it a stronger bond, but bitch, at that point, I'm like, yeah, okay, me and Tiffany, like, we may actually have something real going on here. After that, me and Tiffany never really had any, you know, words or nothing like that ever happened again, right? So boom. I'm fast forwarding. Years have gone by. Now I'm no longer fucking with that other friend. Tiffany is now fully aware of who I am as a person. She knows my heart. She knows that I read cards. I'm psychic and all of these things, right? We've gotten to know each other. Now, Going back a little bit, when I met Tiffany, she was living with her boyfriend. At the time, he was not her fiance yet. But I got to know him, I got to know her, and you know, they started inviting me places. We go to KOD together. I actually just threw away the picture that we had. I had a picture in my house of me and Tiffany at KOD. You know, it was fun vibes. Like, I never had to worry about Tiffany. So, you know, we moved further along. Her then boyfriend asked her to marry him. And bitch, we're there for that because there is not enough of that going on. So of course I was over the moon for her, period. Everything starts to kind of take a turn though, right? Now, a lot of things are happening in Tiffany's relationship that I'm not very much privy to, but Tiffany at this point knows that I'm with this guy. Things have been physical. It's a toxic situation. He was fucking around with his baby mama. It was a lot going on. So eventually, you know, Tiffany starts to open up about her and her boyfriend or her fiance at the time. We're just gonna call him Rodney. Now, I loved Rodney and Tiffany's relationship because they had been together like 10 plus years. But again, I wasn't privy to everything. So once shit starts hitting the fan, they're getting ready to get married. They both go on their own individual bachelor and bachelorette parties. They had been arguing for a while because Rodney told Tiffany he was going to Colombia. And if you know anything about anything, you know what be going down in Colombia. Okay? They be giving it out. Don't know what they doing. They just giving it out. And he was ready to purchase. Now, y'all know how a man is. You know, she's basically accusing him like, I know what you going down there for. Oh, and he's telling her, you tripping, this, that, and the third. It even got to the point where he got in her face, headbutts her, calls her a bitch. You know what I mean? And he's really going big for somebody who's not going to go out there and do anything nuts, you know. Because if you know what I mean? Like, if you're not going to go do nothing out there, why are you getting so disrespectful? So now I'm privy to the situation. This is like 3 years into our friendship at this point, right? I'm privy to the situation. I don't fucking like Rodney at this point. But I have to play my cards right because until my girl Tiffany leave this nigga, it's not much I can really do. I can't say that I don't like him, create a wedge between me and Tiffany because he's not going to want her to hang out with me. Now, to be completely honest, he's a Leo. So he always was worried about people's opinion and how he showed up to people. He didn't give a fuck about who he truly was. He just didn't want nobody else to know. So boom, he goes to Colombia, comes back. This stupid motherfucker, he has a camera, not his phone, y'all, a camera. Tiffany, long story short, finds a video of him and some Colombian chick. And y'all already know what's going on. This fool done recorded it. Why? So boom, their relationship is starting to get very, very physical. Mentally, physically, emotionally, verbally. It's just starting to get crazy. Now, I told Tiffany because she's seen me go through my stuff, right? I got pregnant. I had a miscarriage. There was a lot going on in that relationship with me. So she felt comfortable coming to me, telling me what was going on with her. So I told Tiffany, like, you know, if anything ever happened, because it was starting to get scary. It was starting to get to a point where, you know, I'm trying to pull up on her because I feel like he's getting ready to do something to her. I'm like, you could just come live with me. I don't do that. I don't care if you my cousin, okay? I just don't like people living with me, especially if they're in situations like that, because I know how it is when you're not ready to leave. And you're not going to put my motherfucking life in danger because you want to play, okay? But if y'all want to hear the rest of this story, tap in and come back for part 2. Comment down below.
I was sitting next to a DB for 8 hours and didn't know. Story time! For the purposes of this video, I will be saying DB as in... because I don't want this video to get taken down and I'm not exactly sure what I'm allowed to say on TikTok and what I'm not. To set the scene, me and my family had just came from a trip from South Africa and we were in Turkey. We were going from Turkey to America. The flight from Turkey to America, or where we were going in America, was about an 11.5-hour flight. For the first part of the story, I will be telling it from my mom's point of view because I really wasn't paying attention. To get on the plane to go to America, we had to get our boarding passes and tickets checked at least 3 times. While they're doing probably I think the second check or third check to get into the waiting area to get onto the plane, this woman is asking where we're going. She has a ticket and boarding pass and everything too, but she keeps asking people,
are we going to America? Like, where are we going? Are we going to America? That's just like weird starting off. It's like, how do you not know where you're going? Like, what are you doing here? Like, how do you not know? So that's already a weird thing. This woman doesn't know where we're going. She seems like she's kind of out of it, and she's alone. She has nobody with her. It's just her. We get on the plane, and we happen to be seated right next to her. Once we're seated next to her, honestly, we just kind of mind our business. And by next to her, guys, I don't mean directly sitting next to her. She's in the middle row, and we are on the right side of the plane. So that row. She has an entire row to herself, and then it's us right next to her. If you don't know, if you've never been on a plane, or at least a plane going from one country to another country, that's a long flight, you're probably going to get your food about an hour into the plane ride, and that's what we did. Once we got our food, I kind of just took a nap because I was really tired. We were in the airport for a couple of hours from when we got our flight from South Africa to Turkey. So, yeah. As I'm waking up, I hear my mom talking to this woman that is sitting in the row behind the older lady that ends up, okay? I'm kind of being nosy. I'm listening in, and I hear that woman doesn't look like she's breathing. Then I'm like, what? Like, what are we talking about? So when I look over, I see the older woman that, was asking where we're going, all this other stuff. She's like this, and her eyes are shut, and she does not look like she's breathing. They were right. She doesn't look like she's breathing, and her food is just sitting like in front of her. It's untouched, completely untouched. Keep in mind, we got our food an hour into the plane ride, and I was sleeping for maybe like an hour, hour and a half. According to my mother, they put our food down, and she was still the same way. Like, I don't know why they gave her food when she wasn't like already just like up, but they gave her food while she was just like, she was sleeping. Eventually, the flight attendants get notified of what's going on because, people are concerned. Once they check her, it is very clear to at least me that this woman they're trying to do CPR on her while she's sitting in the chair, and her body is just kind of like shaking. Like, they're kind of just shaking her. And to me, it doesn't look like they knew what they were doing, if I'm going to be for real. They end up putting her body on the floor, and her head hits the floor. Like, they didn't support her head when trying to bring her down to the floor. And I heard a thump, and I'm like, okay, y'all don't know what you're doing. They end up taking her to like the front of the plane, somewhere in the plane. I don't know where, but they brought her up front. And keep in mind, I'm kind of close to the front. I think we were at seat like 10 maybe, or like row 10. I don't remember. A flight attendant ends up coming back and fixing the seatbelts that are in her row because she was all alone in there, and kind of putting them like straight down. With all of this happening, I'm expecting that we are about to have to make an emergency landing because we are not that far into the plane ride, obviously. Like, this is an 11.5-hour plane ride. We're probably about almost 3 hours into the plane ride. And I don't believe that we're over the water yet, So I'm thinking, okay, we're going to have to make a stop. They end up coming back, and they have this person, her, wrapped up in blankets. They decided to wrap a DB in airplane blankets and place her back down in the row. I'm like, what is going on? So I'm extremely confused. I'm like, why are they deciding to place a DB back down next to us? Okay? Again, if you guys have never been on a plane, the airplane blankets are pretty thin. They don't give you anything special or anything like luxurious. So she is wrapped up multiple times with multiple blankets to cover her up. It doesn't even work. Her shoes are sticking out, and like they're in the row. Like, they're in the the airplane row that people walk through to get to the bathrooms. Let me tell y'all how quickly everybody went back to normal. They didn't notify anybody on the plane of what had happened. Obviously, I guess not to make people scared, but everybody that was around her and like they knew what was going on, and we were all confused. Like I said, we all expected to do an emergency landing. Now that you have wrapped this girl up in airplane blankets, it is confirmed that she's gone, okay? I probably prayed like 3 times while this whole thing was going on because obviously I wanted her to live. I did not, you know what I mean? And my mom was asking me, hey, like, do you want to move seats? Like, we can move seats. I'm like, it's fine. So a couple of hours go by and we have to eat food again, okay? At this time, I probably watched a couple movies, still looking over at this DB sitting right next to us, and I just feel uneasy. I'm just like, what is happening? What's happening? It starts to stink. How am I supposed to eat? How's anyone supposed to eat when there is a DB that is stinking up the entire airplane and it's right next to us? Right. Keep in mind, like I said, her shoes are sticking out of like her row that she's in. So they're in the aisle and people that have to go to the bathroom are just like hitting her feet. They're just hitting her feet. I mean, they're trying not to hit her feet, but you can't really not hit their feet. After an 11.5-hour flight and 8 hours of being next to a DB, we finally land. To be completely real with you guys, nothing much happens after that. They take her body somewhere, you know, like professionals come and get her. Anyways, after that, we just got off the plane and that was our plane ride. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you, love you, bye.
I am absolutely fuming. One of our daughters came home from school and told us she was unable to change her feminine hygiene projects today because her teacher felt she was taking too long in the bathroom, so he poked his head in and asked her what she was doing, when she's absolutely mortified that he's standing there facing the door. She doesn't respond because she's embarrassed and she doesn't want to talk about having her cycle with her male teacher. Then he proceeds to tell her that he isn't teaching toddlers and it's not his fault that she forgot her tablet at home. Mind you, we're 100 and some days into the school year, and this is the first day of the entire school year she has ever forgotten her tablet at home. Tell me, am I overreacting? Or is this wildly inappropriate? Even if she was in there going to the bathroom, what if she had to take a shit? I mean, is that his business? Does she need to tell him that she's on her period for her to have just a fraction of freaking empathy or sympathy or whatever? As he said, he's not teaching toddlers, he's teaching 6th graders, which means they are at an age that they could be experiencing that. Why is it that he is in the fucking bathroom? Number one. And number two, why is it his business? I think that that is wildly inappropriate. She should not have to come home and take a shower because she did not get to clean herself up at school. It is 2026. What is happening?
I'm doing an update on the video I made last night about how our child was unable to change her feminine hygiene products because her teacher popped in because he felt she was taking too long in the bathroom. This morning he decided to give my fiance a call, and my fiance had choice words, to say the least. Maybe he thought it was gonna be that conversation and done, but he had no idea I was already on my way to sit down with the principal. I went to the office and I asked to speak with the principal, and I said I would wait as long as it needed, and I had our student with us so she could be there and provide all the information. During the sit down, she took notes the entire time. I mean, I feel like she had a good grasp of my concerns. She was formerly a guidance counselor before she was a principal. No, I have not filed a police report. No, I have not contacted the superintendent. Part of the reason I made the video in the first place was to also have documentation of this happening. There are cameras in the hallways, but there's no audio. When my fiance was talking to him, he denied that he popped in to the bathroom, but our daughter said that while she was in the bathroom, he poked around the corner, so they made eye contact in a way that that's not possible unless he was briefly, ever so briefly, in the doorway. There are no doors, so he didn't push a door open to get in there. There is just no doors, so he still just popped in. If he was having problems with her not doing her work and goofing off and hanging out in the bathroom, that should have been a conversation that he had with us, and we would have handled it. Now, being that I've not gotten any communication from him letting us know that there's been any problems with our student makes me think that there is no problem. So where is the distrust coming from? Why are we trying to get that gotcha moment that I caught you doing something you weren't supposed to do? In my opinion, it did not come from a place of concern. So I guess he called out her name. She said, yeah. He pokes his head in and he says, what are you doing? I know that's inappropriate. Okay, and maybe he didn't think that that was inappropriate at the time. That's wildly inappropriate. If he had concern, he would have sent another student in to check and make sure she was okay. He could have gotten a female teacher, and the principal and the guidance counselor are both females. So he could have called down and been like, hey, I don't know where my student is. Can you go check the bathroom for me? That seems like a pretty good solution to me. But instead, he left his class to go check on her. She forgot to fill out a sign-out sheet. Now, that is her fault. She felt like she had to go to the bathroom urgently. She went to the bathroom, and she said she forgot to sign the sign-out sheet. That is on her. However, there were multiple solutions to this problem besides the route that he decided to take. After our sit-down, the principal took down all of the notes, and she said she's going to have a meeting with him. Tomorrow, I will be following up with a paper trail email to put everything that we talked about. Do I think he was trying to be a creep? No. He seems like the kind of person who is a control freak. When you have a job like this, you don't really get the choice to do whatever you want. I may do a follow-up video with a couple extra questions that people have been asking that I've kind of repeatedly answered in the comments about like the situation and the circumstances. Like I said, they do have the cameras, so she is going to look at the cameras and see if he did actually poke his head into the bathroom. So we will find out about that. Yeah. So for right now, that is all I know. I'm gonna let you guys know as I know. For now, this is all I've got.
Story time about how my best friend cut me off right after she broke up with her NBA boyfriend when he spent $60K on her birthday. That'll be relevant later. So a little backstory, me and my best friend went to elementary and high school together. And I've been knowing her since like 4th grade when she moved to Kansas City. And we went to high school together. We became best friends in high school. So this is like 2011. So we both go to college. I stayed in Missouri for college. She went to LA. And we ended up deciding to move to Atlanta together after we graduated in 2018 from college. So we moved to Atlanta together. We lived together in the same house. And this is also another point to think about is that, like, after a little bit of us living in Atlanta, one of my friends from college, who she knew, but I went to college with, so obviously she wasn't as close as me and her, she moved in with us. We had a 3-bedroom townhouse. And so she moved in with us. And then, you know, me and her were pretty close. But all in all, like, we were all still, like, cool. But I don't know. I mean, I had a son. She would help me out with my son all the time. You know, we were modeling together. We were doing music videos and stuff. And whatever. Like, honestly, everything was cool to me. Like, I'm just like, it's just three girls living in a house. So out of nowhere one day, she just tells me and my other friend, she's like, yeah, I bought a house, I'm moving out. Never once did she tell me, her best friend, that she was even thinking about buying a house, let alone telling me that she was going to move out soon. So it was just one day she just dropped the bomb and was like, yeah, guys, I'm moving out. And I was there to support her. Like, I was there when she closed and all that, but it was just weird. Like, in my head, I was thinking, like, it's just kind of weird that she went and bought a house without telling me. So I understand not telling the internet your plans, but telling your best friend who you live with. So that was a little bit of a red flag. And that was the first time I really had like a red flag in our friendship. And I feel like we had got into it maybe one time within like between 2011 and 2018. Like, I used to go to her house like almost every day. Like, that was my second house. Her mom was like my second mom. Like, we've spent so much time together, and, you know, we've never really had any issues. But I'm also somebody who's not going to bring up issues unless I need to. Like, I didn't think it was necessary, so I kept it pushing. But basically, like, once she did move, she literally wanted me at her house all the time. Like, I had my own house at this time. I had my own apartment, and that I was paying bills at. But yet she would say, like, bring your work stuff over here. Just stay with me, like, as much as possible. I was basically living at her house with her. We were cooking together, still basically like we were living together. And she didn't have a car most of the time we were in Atlanta. So, you know, I was always the one driving. I was always the one, you know, whatever. And we lived on two completely different parts of town. Like, she was down in the South, and I was all the way in Buckhead. So I was going that far all the time just for her. And she was about to open a business by her house. And I was there every single day helping her plan the business, helping her do content, everything. Like, I was helping her put this business together. I was basically her little guinea pig for her business. But basically, I said all that to say I was just a supportive best friend. And I didn't feel like, you know, we had any problems. We were doing great. On Valentine's Day, this is 2021. On Valentine's Day, she told me, she was like, you know, she wrote me a card and was like, you're my soulmate as a friend. And, you know, like, she was basically just like, I love you, you're my sister, we're family. And, you know, we did everything together, literally. Like, when she would have little tricks, I would go out with them, and they would always tell her, like, you know, invite Chloe, just because I was fun. Like, I'm kind of like the outgoing one, and she was more like the cute one, you know. Like, I'm not going to say lacking personality, but I was more of the personality. She was more of like the looks and whatnot. And, you know, she dated guys for different reasons than me. But so basically, this brings us to her birthday, which was in March. So a month after she said I was her soulmate, this is her birthday. Not even a month. It was like 2 weeks after. So there's this guy she went to school with. She didn't talk to him in school. She didn't date him in school. But once he made it to the NBA, she was like, okay, we can date now. So the reason why he dropped $60K on her birthday is because he flew us regular to where he played basketball at. And he flew us to that city. And so we went to that city. He got us a suite. And, you know, we got to go to a game. After the game, we went to his mansion. And he had, like, bottles of 1942. And, you know, we were drinking and whatnot. You know, black trucks, sprinters. So he was paying for a lot of stuff. Food. Everything was paid for. After we left the game and left his house, we went into the airport. And he flew us private to LA. So from where the game was, he flew us to LA where he has another house. So we're on the plane, you know, it's just like 8 of us. And me and her other homegirl, we're kicking it. Like, we got bottles, we got salmon, like, we're eating, we're drinking. I'm lit. Like, I end up falling asleep on the plane. Like, we're lit. So we get off the plane, there's 2 black trucks waiting for us. I get in the one with her and her boo. And they're kind of in the back arguing. Like, she's like, you know, you're doing a lot. I don't want you to drink anymore because you do too much when you drink. And he's basically like, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have none of this happening. Like, I'm doing this for you, and you're acting ungrateful. And she just like, you're popping it too much. Like, you're popping your shit too much, blah, blah, blah. So I overheard that, but I didn't think much of it. I'm like, you know, people argue all the time. So we get to the house, you know, there's more bottles, food, like, it's ready for us. And so there's a party that, like, we were gonna have, and I can't remember if it was that same night or the next day. Regardless, we were getting ready for the party. It was gonna be all of her LA friends and whatnot, which we have a lot of mutual friends. Obviously we went to school together. So hold on. So basically the party comes, and there are people coming, and, you know, like I told you, I'm more of the outgoing one. So I'm going around making sure people are taking shots, making sure everybody's having a good time. She had me like introduce her when she came down after she was like ready. I'm like, here comes the birthday girl, da da da. You know, we're just entertaining everybody. Mind you, her boyfriend was gone because I guess in the NBA they were testing for COVID around this time. It was 2021, so he had to go get tested, but it was like kind of far from his house, and you know, LA traffic, so he was gone for a little bit. He got back. Me and her other homegirl, the one who I was drinking with on the plane, we were in the pool in the backyard, and we were like, you know, in the pool drinking, da da da. There were people here at this time, his family, friends, and all this kind of stuff. He walks in, and me and the girl are like, hey, what's up, take a shot. So we're in the pool, he's outside the pool, and we're like, take a shot, take a shot. And so the homegirl, she hands him the bottle or whatever. He sits down, she's like, you better not take a shot. And you know, he's kind of like whatever, and takes a shot. So I guess she was mad about that. So they were arguing. She was cussing him out in front of his family. This is like a few hours later, I think. I'm in the pool with one of my homeboys from high school, and we're just like flirting or whatever. But eventually I get lit and I go to bed. Her sister basically walks me to bed. Like, she's like, yeah, you're done. So, you know, but I talked to the homeboy after that, and he was like, you weren't really doing nothing. You were just kicking it with me. So next day I wake up, I think her sister did something or said something to me, and I was like, whoa. So I go outside, and I tell her, I said, do you want me to leave? And she like snaps at me, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? I didn't understand what was going on. So basically her and her sister leave with her best friend, who's a guy who is not cool with the boyfriend. So that was already weird. And I cussed him out for that, because why are you picking up a girl from her boyfriend's house? Weirdo. And so they left instead of talking to people. The whole time she's texting the homegirl, the one who gave him the shot, and was just like, yeah, I didn't want him to drink, and Chloe's making it about her. Mind you, I had just lost my job. No, I had lost my ID. Somebody stole my Louis Vuitton purse. So I lost my ID. I lost my passport, everything, social security card right before this happened. So I still managed to go on this trip with no identification. I left my laptop on the plane for work. So I was scared that I was going to lose my job, because I was supposed to be working while I was in LA, because I didn't take off. So I did all this to be here with you. And she was saying I was making it about me. Girl, I'm always like this. I'm always outgoing. I'm always making sure everybody's good. So how am I making it about me? And I did all this to be here. So she was mad about that. We talked about it. We were cool. We ended up hugging it out, and we get back on the plane going back to Atlanta, and she ends up switching out her first class seat, let her sister sit there, and she sat with me in a regular seat. And we end up playing games together, blase blase. A week later, while we're in Atlanta, she ends up calling me and saying like she just can't do this. Like, she's been feeling like this for a while, and she just doesn't feel like we should be friends anymore, which was devastating, because I moved to Atlanta with her, and she was basically turning all of our friends against me, making people were thinking because this happened the weekend her NBA boyfriend flew us out, that I had like did something with him or something. That's why she was mad, because she wouldn't tell anybody why she was mad at me or why she didn't want to be friends anymore. She never even told me. So still to this day, I'm still confused. But after that, we ended up being cool again, and then we fell out again. And that story is even more crazy. But I don't know. Tell me what you guys think, because I don't know. I might have been wrong. I still think about it to this day.
Okay, dang. So part 2, I moved to Houston after we fell out. This is in 2021. And I was just devastated. Like I said, all of my friends were not messing with me. Like, they were taking her side. Didn't even know what happened, because nobody knew what happened. But it was just, she was the popular one. So, you know, everybody was kind of on her side. I felt alone at that point in Atlanta. So I was like, okay, I moved to Houston. And I hadn't, you know, said anything. We just had our distance. But then weird stuff started happening. Like, one day she went to this conference, and my son's dad was there, and he had told me that they ended up chatting and talking about my son, who was her godson. But, you know, she didn't care about that when she said she didn't want to be friends with me anymore. But she asked my son's dad about it. But then also one day I was working at this restaurant in Houston, and somehow she was on the guest list for the night. Like, every time I came in, I would check the reservations. I saw her name. I saw the 816 phone number, because we're from Kansas City. I did not believe it. I was like, out of all places in the world, you're in Houston at a restaurant I work at.
And so she was in there with some guy. It was so funny because the waitress who took her table, her name was Chloe too. So it was like all kind of like a mind fuck. And I was kind of like stressing. I was like in the bathroom talking to my other friend who works there, and I was just like, this is so weird. Like, she ended up leaving before they even got their drinks. Like, she ran out of there. But it was just like multiple occurrences like that where it was like we kept running into each other. So I think one day, this was like 2 years later, I ended up calling her, and she ended up telling me that she meant to call me within like the last week. So she was already thinking about reaching out, and that, she missed my son and whatnot. So we ended up talking. We had a little heart to heart. She never still explained what the problem was. She just said she thinks we needed some space. And at this point, we had our space. We stopped, talking for like 2 years. And immediately she tried to get back to the program. Like, I still lived in Houston. She still lived in Atlanta. But I was in Kansas City. She invited me to her family's house for holidays, because I used to always go to her family's holiday stuff. Like, I missed my own family stuff to be with her and her family. She immediately brought me back to her family's stuff and was like trying to basically act like nothing happened. And so I thought we were cool. Like, I didn't think we were going to be like we were before, because we lived in two different cities. Life was different, but I thought we was cool. So I will say that this rekindling did not last long, and it was crazy because I feel like everything happens for a reason. So in Kansas City, there's a studio everybody used to go to for parties and stuff, and like, Kansas City is not big. So it's either you going to this club, this lounge, or everybody was going to the studio. So her brother, it was his studio, which I've been to a bunch of times even before me and her moved to Atlanta. When he opened the studio, like, we were going there because I used to make music. And so, I grew up with them. So I knew her brother. So I would like always be at the studio. And it was after a certain point, he was always like inviting me, like, hey, pull up, we having this party. A lot of my friends were throwing events there, so I was going there to help. And eventually he asked me to start like bartending some of the events, because I was a bartender. And it was just like, he was like, you bartend, just make some money while you're here. You already like to come and hang out at the studio anyway, so start bartending. So I remember one day I was at my job, and I had called her, and I was like, I just wanted to let you know that like, me and your brother have been so cool lately since I've been back in Kansas City, because this is when I moved back to Kansas City in 2023. And I'm like, we've been hanging out a lot. I just wanted to tell you before, like, everybody else be in people's business, before people come telling you whatever, like saying stuff, because we would hang out like at the studio, and then sometimes we would even like go get a drink or something. But it was like most of the time we was just hanging out in public, or around other people. So it was just like, I felt like it made sense, since me and her were cool again, for me to let her know. So at first she was like, okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know, blase, blase. And this is her older brother. And they have always had like this relationship where she like is really emotional about her family. So it was like, I was really just like, just so you know, because me and her brother never been like this. Me and her were always like this. And so her brother actually used to be kind of mean to me when we were younger, because he was just like an older guy, and we were in high school and whatnot. So it was like weird, because we like was really, really cool. Like, we was always at the studio, always kicking it, whatever. So after I had called her and told her that, immediately after that, he called me and said, this wasn't even immediately, this was like hours. So it took her a couple hours to marinate in this situation. She ended up sending him like these paragraphs saying this why she don't fuck with him now. Like, she doesn't understand why he's trying to be friends with me when she ain't even friends with me. And I'm like, damn, I thought we was cool again. So she was basically telling her brother, like, I don't fuck with her, and you over here trying to be cool with her, inviting her to the studio and whatnot, like, and what happened between me and her, so why are you even doing that? So she sent him these long paragraphs. At that point, she had already blocked me. And basically he was calling me, like, he was pissed. Like, he's calling me like, oh my gosh, like, she's tripping on me because me and you are cool. And he's like, I don't even get it. And like I said, I grew up with their mom. She was even like, I don't know why she's acting crazy, like she's on drugs or something. Like, she was acting crazy. And even her brother was telling me, like, she puts herself on this pedestal, and she just like feels like it's her way or the highway or whatever. So basically after that, I just was in my head like, there's a reason why I started kicking at the studio. And knowing that that's a serious thing for her, is that she really protects her family or whatever, even though she brought me around her family every chance she got. But I knew it just happened for a reason, because I'm like, I never thought I'd be friends with him. Somehow we just levitated towards each other, and this caused her to really just be like, yeah, I can't be friends with you anymore. Which at that point I was kind of like, I don't want this to be my friend anymore either. And after that, me and him, we still cool. Probably like if I seen him, we would say hi. But to this day, like me and him really stopped kicking it. And really, the whole situation with her, I was just over it. It was like she was skipping people's weddings that we grew up with. I don't know if it was because I was there, but it's just like, even if it was slightly because I was there or whatnot, you're like putting this situation above so many other things that are important. Like, this is somebody's wedding day and you'll literally not go because I'm there. She was making it seem like I wanted to beat her ass. She was making it seem like we had real beef. I never knew. And the only time that I let her be mad was when I was hanging out with her brother. Because I'm like, I know how she is. That's why I told her that, like, me and him have been hanging out. And so when she was mad about it, I didn't even care at that point. Because I'm like, finally, I did something wrong. At least I gave you something to be mad about. So, yeah, that was in, like, 2023, 2024, I think. I don't know. But since then, I have not talked to her. She got me blocked on everything. I don't check her page. I don't know what she got going on. I haven't talked to her brother either, but he did pop up as my suggested on Facebook like yesterday or the day before. And I just was like, that's so crazy. But I mean, it is what it is. I don't have hard feelings. I'm not mad about anything. You know, I just feel like it is what it is. Like, people can be in your life for a time and then leave. But I feel like losing your best friend is harder than any man I've ever lost. So yes, it's been hard and I don't understand it sometimes, but it ain't for me to understand clearly. But everything happens for a reason and it is what it is. But I mean, honestly, all in between this, there's a lot more like crazy things that I will take to the grave. But just know that it goes even beyond what I can say on the internet. Like, there are some crazy things that have been low key and that have just, we're gonna let those slide. But I'm taking stuff to the grave, like, and yes, that was my girl, and I would never sit here and talk bad about her or say nothing bad. I don't think our lifestyles were super similar. Like I said, you know, she dated people for different reasons than I would, and I commend her for that because I dealt with a lot of men and I got nothing out of it. So at the end of the day, we're just different people. We went our separate ways. I don't have nothing bad to say. I hope she's doing well. I don't know what she's doing, but I hope her and her whole family is doing well. And it is what it is. I'm gonna keep it pushing. Still to this day, I don't have a best friend, a female best friend, and I don't know if I ever will. But I hope I do one day. But if not, it's all good. But yeah, that's it. That's part 2, last part. That's it.
I'm posting this video for my family's protection. I'm posting this video for documentation purposes only because Disney Cruise Line is not doing anything about the situation that's happening on board. We're currently being confined to our room and I want to talk to you guys about what's going on, but I also want to get the word out. So what I need from you, there's 42,000 people who follow me. What I need from you is to like, share, and comment. If you have negative things to say about the situation, I am going to be silencing you, so don't even waste your breath. I need the word to get out before we hit shore. I've also reached out to my people, and they are documenting everything for me, but I do want to get the word out about what's going on because something just doesn't feel right in my mama bones, and I need to talk about it. 2 days ago, my daughter was at the Oceaneers Club on the Disney Wonder. We were in Maui and my husband and I were out on an excursion, and she was at the Oceaneers Club while her godmom was on board, and her brother was at the nursery. So there was full-on care for her. Around 9 a.m., my friend, her godmom, gets a message, and the message says that she would like to be picked up. Godmom picks her up, feeds her, takes care of her, takes her for the rest of the day until my husband and I get back from our excursion. We get back on the ship. At that time, our daughter had shared with us that she fell at the kids club. We asked her, you know, how is she feeling? Where did she fall? She pointed to her, the side of her face, and she said that she fell off of something. So we looked at it, we asked her if she wanted any medicine, and we did everything that we could to make her feel comfortable at that time, okay? We all go to sleep that night, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, our daughter is screaming in agony. She's screaming in pain, and she tells my husband that she wants to go see the doctor. Now, my family and I, anytime our children, each other, anytime we're not feeling well, immediately go to medical. We do not neglect our kids. We don't care how much it costs. We go. And so at 2 o'clock in the morning, he races down to medical. I get the baby back to sleep because he woke up, and I tell their godmom, like, hey, I'm gonna leave too. Can you watch over him while I go down to medical? So we're all down in medical, and the doctor assesses my daughter. And before the doctor assesses my daughter, the doctor says, or the nurse says, what happened? And we tell him she had a fall in kids club and she, you know, she's not feeling well. I also mentioned to him that the fall wasn't reported to us, so we didn't get any information from the kids club team. We didn't get a message. We didn't get anything about a head injury that happened. And so we don't really know what happened. It's just based off of what she's telling us. So the doctor comes in because she was on call. She woke up, she comes in and she assesses my daughter. They take her temperature. She has a slight fever, but it's not too high. My kids just run hot, especially at night. They have a lot of stuff going on. They're just hot. And she says, okay, well, I think this is like a viral thing and I'm going to give you antibiotics and Motrin and Tylenol. And I was like, well, you don't need to give us Motrin and Tylenol. We already have that back in the cabin. We're good to go. So we take the antibiotics. She gives us syringes. We get back to the room. But before I give my daughter that medication, I go to guest services and I say, hey, this incident happened. My daughter fell at the kids club. We didn't get any information on it. Now she's crying in pain. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. And I want to talk to somebody who works in kids club about this incident. And here's where the story gets absolutely insane. So the next morning around 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, phone starts ringing in our room, in our stateroom. And it's medical saying, we need you guys to come down here as soon as possible. So we can't move as soon as possible. We have 2 toddlers and, you know, we're not going to put our daughter back into the Oceaneers Club at this point because we don't know what happened. And the nursery is separate. So we're like, okay, like maybe we can send our son, but we're just like slowly waking up. So we finally go down there around like maybe 8 o'clock or so. And the medical team sits us down and they give us a diagnosis for our daughter. Like a clinical diagnosis for our daughter that doesn't have to do with any viral infection. It doesn't have to do with anything that requires antibiotics, but it has everything to do with being in isolation for a long period of time. And so I was like, well, how did you guys determine that? Because you didn't take any swabs. Like you guys just determined that we need to be in isolation. And the first thing they start saying is, you guys can exit the ship and fly home. And I'm like, what? You guys don't even want to know how much I pay for this trip. Outside of like our room, we're concierge, the outfits, everything, the flights, everything. You all of a sudden are saying that we need to get off the ship and go stay at a hotel and then leave when possible, right? Like this just wasn't adding up to me, right? And so after they tell us that, I say, wait a minute, slow down, slow all the way down. I said, last night, the diagnosis was something that required antibiotics and we were going to start giving her antibiotics right away. One, you don't want to just give your child antibiotics, right? Like I've given my children antibiotics. I'm not against that, but you don't just want to give it to them if they don't need it. And 2, what you are diagnosing her with doesn't require antibiotics. So at what point did the condition change to something that requires 5 days of isolation or us getting off of the ship? And so now my spidey senses are up 100%. And I call my mom and I call my people back home and I start documenting like all of these notes in my phone of like timelines of things that happened, the first diagnosis, the second diagnosis when they're asking us to leave, and them not addressing what happened in the kids club at all. Let me pause here. It has been about 48 hours since this incident happened in the kids club. Yeah, it's been 2 days. We have not received any information, no follow-up, no closing the loop, right? I work in human resources and I'm in law school right now. No closing the loop, right? Like we are left wide open. Yesterday, we had a conversation with 2 doctors on board, our doctors, and everyone is giving us different information. They want to check our immunization records, but our immunization records don't even mean anything, even though everyone in our family is fully vaccinated against everything. They don't mean anything. So why do you want to check our records, right? And they're pushing us to leave. All of a sudden, oh yes, your insurance will cover everything for the hotel, for any incidents that happen off the ship. Anything that you guys have booked, we'll go ahead and cancel it and cover it for you. They're really pushing us to get off of the ship without closing the loop on what happened to my daughter in the kids club. And now all of a sudden at 8 o'clock in the morning, she has a brand new diagnosis that requires us to leave or to isolate. We look at flights, and something that my husband and I had determined a long time ago when we first got together is we don't split the group. We looked at flights because we were on, at this point, we're at the Big Island. And flights from the Big Island to where we live in San Diego, we're running 10,000, around, I think he said 10,000, I don't even know. But we could only get 2 plane tickets. Even if Godmom stayed back and flew on her own, because she's a grown woman, we couldn't fly with myself and my infant. So it'd be my husband and my daughter, or me and my daughter, most likely my husband and my daughter, because I'm still nursing my son. We would split the group. We'd spend all this money up front. We'd completely miss our vacation, and we would never get answers about what happened at Kids Club. So this is what happened. My mom is currently tracking everything. She's the best investigator I've ever heard of in my life. She knows that she knows that we're on our way from Hawaii to Vancouver, and we'll be there in 4 days. We are isolated to our room. There has been no follow-up to what happened, but we ended up staying on the ship because we didn't want to split the group. Everything feels a little sketchy. And so we ended up staying together as a family, and we are here. And this is why I'm making this video. This is a 10-minute video. My time is almost up. I might make a part 2. I'm pretty emotional, I'm pretty riled up. My husband and I have been through all the stages of grief. My husband is also in the Navy, 17 years. Being isolated to a hotel or on a ship is probably not the best for him at this point. So that's where we're at. Oh my God, I was not expecting so many people to be so concerned about our family. Thank you, thank you, thank you for following up with us. Also, thank you for the medical professionals out there that know perhaps what the diagnosis is and aren't saying it, because there are things that I just don't want to disclose about my daughter and our family at this point, especially because we still are on the ship. I don't want this misdiagnosis to be misinterpreted by people who are on the ship, and our family be targeted because of that, because we didn't do anything wrong. So I just want to put that out there. Thank you for sharing. And this is the update, proof of life, day 2 of 5 of being isolated to our cabin on the Disney Wonder, going from Honolulu to Vancouver. Here is what I have so far today. Number 1, people are asking, how is baby girl? She's great. My daughter is a resilient girl. Everybody always says like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's doing X, Y, and Z. When she started swim lessons, she was just like in the water. She would do it. If she's ever like not feeling well or in pain or anything like that, she just rolls with it. She'll take her medication. She'll just, you know, keep going. She's a very strong, resilient girl, and she's headstrong. She is loving the fact that we have room service on board, and she actually knows how to hit the button and order herself her watermelon and popsicles. So I love that for her, and I love the care that the concierge desk is giving to us right now. We are working with Ashley, Shay, Pear, Talia. They are phenomenal on this Disney Wonder cruise. Our concierge people have been so accommodating. They're getting us anything that we want, anything that we need to our room. So baby girl is very happy about that. We also have now streaming access on our phone. So we're gonna set up some time to FaceTime some family and friends. So she has that comfort, and yeah, so everything's going well with her. She's very happy. She's fed, she's healthy, no fevers, no issues. She's not sick, right? Like the diagnosis that they gave her is false. She's doing well. I actually have a video of her dancing around the room last night because we dressed up for Pirates Night, and she's dancing with her dad and going, hey, yo-ho. I mean, she's a happy girl. So that is update number 1, and I will be answering as many questions as I can in this next hour as possible. My husband's with the kids in the other room. They're eating breakfast right now, but I will answer as many questions as I can in this next hour, and then I'll check in back with you guys tomorrow. Yeah, no, we're not leaving the ship. We decided not to get off for a few different reasons. One, I want to fully investigate what happened at the Oceaneers Club. So I'm going to use this comment to go back through the timeline of events and the way that I'm perceiving this as a mother. My daughter goes to Oceaneers Club. She has a fall. She states she has a fall. Now, granted, my daughter is 3 years old. Do with that information what you will, okay? She says she has a fall at Oceaneers Club. She might have fallen outside of Oceaneers Club. She might have fallen in our room. Whatever it is, she now says that she has an injury, right? And when we get back on the ship, it's like 4 o'clock. She discloses that she has, this pain, but she's still eating. She's still drinking. We have Motrin. We have Tylenol. We're like, okay, we'll do what we can to make you feel comfortable, but you look fine, right? Like, as a parent, you're just like, you can look at your kid and be like, you're okay, right? And so we go to sleep 2 o'clock in the morning. Like I said in the other video, she wakes up, she's in pain. We take her down to go see the doctor. And the doctor then gives her that viral, diagnosis, and then proceeds to prescribe her antibiotics. Now, I'm not in the medical field, and I will never be. Science and math is definitely not my thing. But I do listen to medical professionals when they say, your son or daughter needs to take this medicine, right? Like, I do want to be in compliance with that because I do trust in science, right? I'm not anti-vax, I'm not anti-science, I'm not anti-medication, but I do question things that happen to my kids. I'm not just going to blindly go for a result and say, oh, that's it, right? So I had told the doctor when she got in the room, she fell. Let's take a look at her injuries. Like, this is what we're in here for. And the doctor proceeds to give her another diagnosis that has nothing to do with what I told her. Okay, cool. Again, she's the medical professional. This is the direction she's headed in. Here is the issue. The issue is that at 4 o'clock in the morning, after that doctor's appointment, I go to guest services. I tell guest services she fell in the Oceaneers Club. I want you guys to review the videos, ask questions. I want to speak to somebody who works in Oceaneers Club. I want to speak to management of Oceaneers Club. I had asked that several times that day following that guest services, guest relations conversation incident report. I still haven't spoken to anybody who works at the Oceaneers Club or who was there when my daughter was there. Still haven't, okay? That's beside the point. We'll get to that later. The timeline of events go. 2 o'clock in the morning, doctor diagnosis of viral infection, gives us medication. I go to guest services at 4 a.m. Make this claim, she fell, you guys need to investigate. At 7 a.m. that day, we get a call. Parents, you need to come down here. You need to come down here. And this is the key, without them reassessing, because we didn't bring our daughter down. They said, parents, we need you to come down. We didn't bring our daughter down. We brought our son down to medical because we need to put him in a chair, and our son's 16 months old. We just needed to get him contained. Okay. So we bring our son down and they say, oh, she doesn't have that viral issue. She has this viral issue and she needs to be isolated for 5 days. And we were like, whoa. You didn't reassess her. You haven't looked at her today at all. And we say that, right? Like, you guys need to look at her today, take her temperature, all this stuff. We need a second opinion. And so at from 7 o'clock in the morning, we go there around 8 or 9, right? Because we were trying to get it together in our little room. From that point on, I'm calling my daughter's pediatrician. I'm calling my friends who are doctors. I also ask the ship if we can get off, because we're in Hilo, if we can get off the ship and get a second opinion. If we can go to an urgent care hospital out in town where they can actually take a swab and get an accurate result on a viral infection. Instead of saying, oh, you guys need to be isolated, we reported you to the CDC, blah, 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 blah. Could we actually get a diagnosis here
And they said, if you disembark the ship, you will not be able to get back on. The chances of you being able to get back on are highly unlikely. Now, you have to understand that we have between the time they gave us the information, 9 a.m. until 3:15, to figure out if we can go to the doctors and possibly get back on the ship. It's highly unlikely. Or if we're going to stay in some hotel out in Hilo. I've never been, to Hilo in my life. I don't know anything about that place. It's a flight to Honolulu and then another flight to San Diego where we live. We have a limited amount of time to figure out what we're going to do, if we can do anything, if we can make any moves, right? They've already reported us to the CDC, so we can't leave the island. We would have to isolate there for 5 days. It just didn't add up. And so in that time between 2 a.m. and the second diagnosis, they still hadn't reassessed my daughter. And we're asking them, we want a reassessment. We're reaching out to our pediatrician. Our pediatrician is referring to you. Our pediatrician is telling us to go to a local urgent care because they would have to evaluate our daughter, physically evaluate them for the fall or for the viral infection that they are stating that she has. Our hands are tied. Now, I want to know, if you guys are worried about viral infections happening, why don't you have rapid tests here on the ship? Why don't we have access to that? This is a huge corporation. You can't tell me that they don't have the money to stock those things, right? So if that is a concern that you all are having, and you know that this impacts many people, if there is some type of outbreak that happens, why don't you have that here on the ship? Also, I want to know what happened between the time that I reported this incident in Kids Club to 7 o'clock in the morning. What took place? And, I remember the doctor saying something along the lines of, there was something that happened on the leg between Australia and Honolulu where there was an outbreak of something, but there was no crossover. There's no cross contamination. So obviously they're basing this diagnosis off of something that has nothing to do with my daughter. They're tracing this diagnosis from another itinerary that happened like a week prior to her getting on. And they're saying, yeah, there was no crossover, but still we think she has this. Y'all didn't even look at her again. And when you did reassess her, the symptoms that you claimed that she had in that first assessment were not there. Another doctor came into our room and reassessed her, and the symptoms that are required for this diagnosis were no longer present. None of this is making any sense. I am beyond upset. And really, all I have, which is what I always have, is this phone to document my mom journey and talk about it. Things have to change because, look, my daughter is a little girl. She doesn't really know what's going on, but she's still a human. She still has rights. And the only person who can advocate for her right now is me. It's me. She has no idea that she's aware that she's being confined to this room because we tell her, like, you can't go out there, but it's not by our design that she can't go out there, right? I'm the only person who can advocate for my daughter right now. These people are not advocating for her. They had a duty of care to my daughter and failed her because they're trying to save themselves. The doctor didn't report the fall incident. I know that they didn't because they never readdressed it. Guest services might have looked into the fall, okay? But I still haven't gotten the answers that I need. Security came down last night and said, oh, she didn't fall. We looked at the cameras, she didn't fall. Okay, but I still need to talk to management and see what activities she was doing that day because maybe something else happened that we don't know about. You guys are telling me you looked at the cameras, she didn't fall, but what else happened? Okay? You guys are looking for a not fall. I understand that. So what actually did take place? That's what I want to know. This is day 3 of 5. I also do not understand. The diagnosis that they are giving is a suspected viral contagious outbreak that's happening here on the ship. From what I'm gathering, our daughter is not the only one that's impacted. However, the issues keep arising as to why our entire family is being quarantined. We understand our daughter being quarantined. We're not outside of that, right? A lot of people are like blaming me for giving misinformation and saying that I don't want to protect other people. That is just not true. We've not had an issue with saying that she needs to be quarantined. If they believe that she has something that's contagious to other children, other people, completely understand that. But the rest of our family is not showing any signs and symptoms. She also has not been swabbed or given any medical test to confirm this. It's only suspected, right? I don't know. This is a viral contagion, and all we've been given is antibiotics, which all you all are telling me is for bacterial. I don't know. I am just as confused as you guys. So people saying like, oh, you're giving bits and pieces. All I have is bits and pieces. They won't even give me paperwork, no documentation, no email, nothing. They have given me and my family nothing. So I am saying, because I vlog on TikTok, I am speaking what has been told to me. That's all I have. You guys have to ask them. I don't know. I don't know. And so we're staying in our room because we're complying. Again, we want to protect the people on the ship. We want to protect ourselves. We have no problem with that. It's to us also, none of this is adding up. We're just as confused as you guys are. Yeah, we thought it was bizarre. And we also asked the doctor, like, what else should we look out for? We didn't know that we were going at 2:00 in the morning. We had no idea that we were going into the doctor to be diagnosed with a viral infection. We had no clue, right? Like, we didn't know that she was running a fever. She was perfectly healthy prior to that. We had been in Honolulu for a couple of days. We had gotten on the ship. No coughs, no sniffles, no lethargy, no nothing. She was so excited to be on the ship. I have videos and pictures of her in our room dancing around. Like, she's perfectly healthy until that night when she was running a fever, right? And so some people are implying that I knew that she was sick and I got on the ship anyways. I would never do that. Are you nutsos? I would never do that. I'm a mom. I'm the mom lady. I wouldn't put other people's kids in danger so that I could go have a ball with Mickey. Are you dumb? So they gave us that diagnosis and we asked, like, what other things should we be looking for? This kind of seems a little like weird. Like, can you give us some more information? And she said, well, like common things like lethargy, like slouching, stuff like that. And we were just like, okay, like vitriol or any type of like diarrhea, like look out for those kind of things. And we're like, okay, cool. Like, she doesn't have any of that stuff, but of course we'll look out for it. We did think that it was very bizarre, and we still think that it's very bizarre. We still have the antibiotics because that's the only piece of documentation that we have. They haven't given us any paperwork, no write-ups, no emails, no nothing. We have not received any of the paperwork that other families have gotten about potential exposure and diagnosis. We haven't gotten any of that, none of it. We have no documentation whatsoever, nothing, no swabs, no test, no nothing. We have nothing. The doctors and guest relations just came and they released our family from quarantine. Our family can go back into Gen Pop. So for all of you who are saying that we were lying, the story's not adding up, blah this, blah that. For those of you who are out there spreading intentionally and thinking you're funny and being insensitive in the comments, spreading misinformation, I hope that this never happens to you. This has been one of the worst experiences of my life. And now they come in the room, they're like, oh, you guys are good to go. All of a sudden. Would you like to see the bag of antibiotics? That's the only proof that I have. Would you like me to go out there and ask the other families for their documentation that they're getting that we didn't get? I'm livid right now. I am so upset, but I'm even more unnerved because I asked you guys before I told this story, I asked you guys, please be real. Please don't be insensitive. Please don't start saying nasty things because I only share my truth on my mom vlog, and here you guys go. And now we're being released as if nothing happened. And I don't feel comfortable going out there because of the misinformation that you guys have spread about me and my family. No lab tests were done. They offered us, just now, they offered us, oh, we can swab her now. All of a sudden, they can swab her now. They did not offer that when we were in Hilo. We asked to get off the ship to go get swabs and tested and second opinions. They said, no, you can't get back on the ship if you do that. But just now, they came in this room and they offered us swabs. They offered us testing. All of a sudden, they could do it. I hope this never happens to any one of you guys, and I'll be very mindful about what I share on this mom vlog from now on. I'm sorry to disappoint so many of you out there, but I have been telling my truth, and I'm glad that my daughter is okay.
Apparently, Greyhound employees think it's funny to have a 16-year-old girl downtown in Dallas by herself. So I'm with my friend. I'm on vacation in Dallas, and me and my friend are walking through downtown Dallas, and a young girl in her pajamas with a pillow and a blanket come up to us, asking us for directions to the Greyhound. She's in tears, telling us that somebody dropped her off at this Greyhound on Lamar Street, and they end up telling her it was the wrong one, and she needed to get to the other Greyhound. The other Greyhound was only 4 minutes away from where we were going. We ended up getting to the Greyhound, and the bus had left 1 minute before, so she missed it. Her phone is not working, so she gives us her auntie's number to let her know that she didn't make the bus because the lady took her to the wrong place. So we tell her auntie, we're going to call customer service. We're going to see if they can get her the next bus, and we'll take her to whichever one she needs to go to catch that bus. So we called customer service, and we talked to the bus driver who had just pulled up and was going somewhere else. And he was like, I would have took her on my bus. He was so nice. He was like, I would have took her on my bus if it wasn't for me going somewhere else. If I was going to Houston, I would let her on. He said, but most of those Greyhound people, especially the ones on Lamar, are not going to be the same way. They're going to say, oh, well, buy a new ticket. So he tries to call for us. We call, and we end up getting in contact with one of the customer service people, and they say, as a courtesy, we'll give you like a courtesy to get on the next bus at 5:55. Mind you, this is already past 5 o'clock. They're like, at 5:55 you can get on the next bus to get her to Houston as a courtesy. So we hurry up and run back to our car and literally take her to this one on 205 Lamar Street. And as soon as we walk in, the bus is about to pull off, and we're like, please, can they just wait and let her get on? And they're like, no, once it's pulling off, it's pulling off. So I go to the front desk and I explain to them, I said, hey, she had a courtesy ticket, but they switched it over, but she couldn't get on the bus because we literally got over here as fast as we can. We are strangers. We don't know her. We're just trying to help her out. Literally, they were like, there's nothing we can do. And literally we're like, yeah, there's nothing we can do. Y'all can buy a new ticket, or y'all can call customer service. So I was like, well, I just got off the phone with customer service. They said we could have the courtesy ticket. Is there any way we can switch it? No, you need to call customer service. Bad. So I call customer service back, and I ask him, I say, is there any way we can switch this over? We weren't able to make that one. And there's another one at 7. This is 5:55. There's another one at 7. She can easily get on there. Like, can we just, she didn't get to use the courtesy because she didn't get on the bus because y'all gave us a ticket that was the next one. And now, like, there's one more bus, and I'm sure it's not full because none of these are clearly full. And so is there anything we can do? This 16-year-old girl by herself has nowhere to go. She's trying to get to her family in Houston. So literally they're like, yeah, we gave you one. You're not getting another one. I was like, okay, can I talk to a supervisor then? They put us on the line with the supervisor. The supervisor is like, there's no way I can do that. Do you have any other questions? I said, ma'am. And she literally made me call the auntie. I called the auntie, add her on. The auntie was like, matter of fact, I didn't even approve this. I didn't even like confirm getting it changed or anything. You're not even asking the person who booked for this minor. You're literally letting me, a stranger, handle this, and they're switching stuff over. And when our actual auntie, the one who booked this, the one who she's trying to get to, calls y'all and says, can we actually get the courtesy to be 7 o'clock? They're like, oh, we already did it. And she's like, but y'all made it for the one that's 20 minutes after they called, when you already know that they're at a different bus stop and have to go all the way to the next one. So the lady ends up, she's just so rude, has no idea what she's saying, keeps saying, oh, I understand. There was a whole language barrier, had no idea what she was talking about. How is she the supervisor? Doesn't even know what she's talking about, acting like she cannot do anything about getting this 16-year-old girl tickets changed. So the lady on the phone, after 45 minutes, tells us we need to go back in here and ask these people. So I go back in, I say, hey, so this is the customer service lady on the phone. She's saying that she can't change the ticket. You guys have to. The customer service lady gets on the phone with them and literally says, yeah, I told her that we can't change the ticket. Are you joking? And so we kept asking, is there any solution? My friend is so calm. She's talking to them. She's really trying to find a solution. I'm literally sitting here like telling the lady, at this point, you are useless. Y'all are all getting reported because this is so crazy. It's not even about policy. It's about principle. It's about having some freaking heart. Even the first bus driver was like, oh, it's a minor. I would have took her. Mind you, once again, I'm on vacation and have been with this girl since 4 o'clock trying to get her on this bus. So we're here. They're literally like, no. This is when I start snapping on these folks. Because I literally said, do y'all have any 16-year-old kids? Do you have any kids, period? If so, I really hope that they don't end up stranded one day and somebody treat them like this. So at this point, they're like, there's nothing we can do other than she can buy another ticket. Did this 16-year-old girl look like she can buy another ticket? So I'm literally like, buy another ticket when she didn't even use the ticket that is sitting right here that y'all know what happened. Y'all saw her walk out to the bus and it pulled off right in front of her. So I go off on these folks. At this point, no, I didn't even go off on these folks yet. At this point, I just came back to the car, tried to finish the conversation with the supervisor lady, Gladys, by the way. And I literally was like, okay, if there's nothing you can do, you can go. It's been 45 minutes and you keep sitting here and asking me if I have any other questions. You know what my question is. So no, I don't have any other questions. So I literally was like, you know what? Last resort is let's go see if the bus driver will accommodate the ticket. Like he said, some people will, some people won't. We walk through, the people at the thing come running out. Literally like, no, y'all can't go out there. You can't get on this bus. She's not getting on this bus today. They run to the bus driver. No, don't give any exceptions. She's not getting on this bus. Why are y'all so serious about a 16-year-old girl not getting on a bus? This is when I start snapping on their ass. This is when I was literally like, this is a 16-year-old girl trying to get on a bus home to her family. She has nowhere to stay tonight. Nowhere. And you want her to buy another ticket? So I literally go off on their ass. I'm literally like roasting their ass. Literally like, you know, but y'all some fucking weirdos. So they just laughing in my face like, ha, girl, whatever. You about to be a criminal trespassing, la, la, la. And I said, y'all really think it's funny that a minor cannot get to her family? Y'all think that's funny? That just goes to show that you are miserable in your own life. Because to not accommodate that when you see strangers here trying to help her. I am on vacation and this is what I'm doing. Like, be so for real. So we going back and forth. Basically, I walk outside. I tell my friend what's going on. She goes in there, talks to them, I guess, in a normal way. Not like I'm talking right now, and tries to get through to them. The same shit I've been telling them since I walked in the first time. That she is a young girl. And guess what? Actually, the thing is, I tried to walk back in and buy her ticket. I said, you know what? I'll buy her ticket. There's still 6 more minutes before the bus leaves. Let's get her on this bus. Instead, they say, no, she can't even get on the bus because of you. What do I have to do with her? If y'all want to be mad at me, y'all can call the police on me. I don't care. Get the girl on the bus, bro. So my friend is like, let me just go in here and try to talk to them. Go talk to them nicely. Go talk to them normally and see if I can figure something out. So she comes back out a few minutes later and is like, they're going to let me buy your ticket, but it's not going to be until midnight. So the girl is like stressed, like 5 hours here at this dirty bus stop by herself. And so she's like, yeah, they're going to let me pay for it. I talked to all these people. I got their names. They're going to watch after you. So the same people who was just laughing that she ain't got nowhere to go are the same people we supposed to trust to watch after her. Greyhound, please be so for real. So at the end of the day, I'm still paying for it. I'm just sending it to my friend because she can go in there and I can't. So she's going in there for me to go buy this girl a ticket that I just met on the street today to help her out. And these people decided to act like this with me. What is this world? Greyhound, what is your business? What is your business? Because I have never experienced customer service that bad from Gladys and from these folks inside of this building, every single one of them. There was only one security guard who came out being reasonable. Everybody else laughing in my face with no teeth, thinking it's funny that a 16-year-old girl can't get where she needs to be. This lady outside ends up coming up to me trying to help. Like, why are they not, what do you have to do with this girl? Like, why are they not helping this and this and that? Everybody's looking, everybody's like, what is going on? I'm trying to help this girl. And yes, it makes me mad. It makes me extremely mad, which is why I don't want to bring no more kids into this world. Because this world is evil. People don't care about nothing. Not even themselves. Because clearly if you missing all your teeth except one brown one, you don't care about yourself. People don't care about nothing. Because to laugh in somebody's face, laughing at me and that little girl face because she can't get on the bus is crazy. And then to sit here and play like y'all so nice when my friend come in here and try to talk to y'all just because y'all were trying to have so much pride and try to act so funny with me when I'm still buying this ticket and putting this girl on a midnight bus to Houston. Greyhound. Whoa! Count your days. I mean, y'all already got sold to Flixbus or whatever, but Flixbus, please be so for real. But shout out to that first bus driver who at least has a heart, unlike the rest of y'all. I'm about to get back to my vacation because you know what? I can't let this ruin my day. But Greyhound, ooh!
Our dads be like, because they're gone.
So I've decided that I want to start telling some of the weird things that have happened at our house. I have a couple stories, so I just want to share it on here. So I will give a little bit of backstory. Me and my husband bought our house almost 7 years ago. I think next month in March it will have been 7 years. There is an old house here on this land, probably like 75 yards, 50 yards away from our house. Let me show you. So I'm standing on our front porch right now, and that is the old house. That is the house that my mother-in-law, I think it was her grandma, lived there. So yeah, it's pretty old. Anyway, so that house was here whenever we moved our house in here. So before we actually moved in, of course, like we had to take a couple days to move all of our things in. So me and my husband were here. We were the only ones here. Nobody lives in that older house. That nobody's lived there for, heck, I don't even know how many years. Probably 20 years or more. Probably more than that, honestly. But yeah, like we were the only ones out here, and it was during the day. I was inside putting things away, like putting things out of boxes and stuff, and my husband was outside. He was outside doing something, so I was just in here, and all of a sudden, like, it was quiet in here, and I heard somebody from the back door. Let me show you. So like I'm in the kitchen now and I'm walking, and our back door is like right here. Very close, like not far. Ignore my flickering light. I need to change the bulb. From the back door, a man's voice I've never heard before, somebody say, "Travis?" Like that, like questioning, like calling for him. And Travis is my husband's name. We were the only ones out here. There is nobody else that was here. I know that for a fact. And our closest neighbors are like 400 yards, 300 yards, like on the other side of the road. They've never been over here. They have never come over to our house. So nobody was here. And why would my husband call his own name? So I go outside and I'm like, "Is your dad here?" And my husband said, "No, why?" I said, "Oh." And I just came back inside, and he came in, he's like, "No, why? Like, what happened?" And I told him, I said, "I heard somebody call your name. Like, I am 100% sure a man was calling your name." And my husband didn't really seem that surprised. Like, I don't know, if somebody would have told me that, I would have been like freaking out a little bit, like I was whenever I heard it. And he proceeded to tell me that years before this, he used to come out to this property like when only the old house was here, and like shoot things out here because there was nothing out here, and hunt and like all that stuff, like hang out. And he said before he has heard somebody calling his name from that old house, or saying like, hey, 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 like calling to him from that old house. I don't know if he's ever seen anything, but he said he's heard it before. That is the only time I've ever like heard somebody say words. I've heard like noises since then, but that was the one and only time that I've heard it, like whatever it is, say somebody's name. So yeah, I have some other stories that I plan to put out. Ooh. But yeah, I have some other stories that I plan to put out. If y'all want to hear them, let me know. This is part 2 of weird stuff that has happened in my house. For background, my oldest son, who is now 4, did not sleep in his own room probably for about a year. He was sleeping in our bed. I'll show you the layout of like the kids' rooms. So this is my youngest son's room, and then this is my oldest son's room, and that room is the subject of this story. So like I said, my oldest son was not sleeping in his own room for like an extended period of time, but my youngest son is always waking up during the night. Like he's probably slept through the night like 30 times in his whole entire life. Since my oldest son was not sleeping in his room, we would just like have no lights on in there. Like we would turn the light off at night, and we had no nightlight or anything. So it was always like pitch black in that room. So one night, like probably 4 or 5 months ago, my youngest son woke up. So went into his room, you know, got him back to sleep. And whenever I came out of his room, like there's a little hallway. Let me show you. There's a little hallway right here. This is my youngest son's room, the bathroom, oldest son's room. So I like come out of my youngest son's room. I had the urge to like look into my oldest son's room, which was pitch black. There was a like baby activity like table thing right here, like in the very middle of the room. I'm gonna put a picture. I don't know, hopefully you could see it. I've never done this where you like put a picture on here. See, it looked like this. I don't have it anymore. My kids outgrew it. Those, from my understanding, are not motion activated. You have to like press the buttons for anything to happen, like for them to work and stuff. So I was standing here looking into the pitch black room, and the activity table starts lighting up and singing. That has never happened before. Like, we've had that toy for so long, and it never went off at random times, never went off like when nobody was near it, nothing. Until I had the urge, like something was drawing me to look in this pitch black room. So yeah, after that happened, I went back to our room and I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. I'm gonna tell y'all another story of weird things that has happened in my house. This is actually the one that like unsettled me the most. So let's get into it. So I know from my first video, I think a lot of people probably get the assumption that a lot of this energy and like weird stuff that has been happening is coming from that old house that is on our property. But I really don't think so. I'm thinking a lot of it is stemming from my dad. My dad passed away almost 10 years ago. I think this year will be 10 years since he passed. And I think a lot of it is stemming from him. When this story happened, we had just moved into our house, been there for just a couple of months, and me and Travis were going through stuff at my parents' house, like my things that were in storage. And one of the things was a deer mount that was my dad's. Let me show you. This is a deer that my dad shot at the Aransas Wildlife Refuge here in Texas. Funny thing is, the day that we found the deer mount, like up in my parents' loft, there's a date written on the back. It was exactly, I think, 30 years to the date from when my dad shot the deer to when we found it. I thought that was just a weird coincidence. So we find that up in my parents' loft. Ooh. And bring it back here, hang it up. The same night that we hung that deer mount up, me and Travis are laying in bed, and all of a sudden, like, we hear loud racket in the living room. And we had no pets at the time in the house. We didn't have any kids. So there was no reason for there to be such a loud racket. I'm going to put the phone down and kind of like reenact what it sounded like, because it was absolutely insane. It literally sounded like somebody was throwing things around the living room. And Travis and I were both laying in bed. It was dark. We hadn't even gone to sleep yet. Like, we lay down, turned off the lights, and like within probably 10 minutes, this started happening. Neither of us got up. Like, I know my husband, and I know that if he believed somebody had broken into the house or somebody was in here, he would have gotten up and like confronted them. We both knew that was not the case. It's happened like one other time, but I just thought it was really weird that the day that we hang up my dad's deer mount, if these items are what is bringing this like weird energy into our house, it's my dad. You know, like, I don't think my dad would do anything malicious. So I have some stories from my dad's house. Cleaning out his house, I have some stories. So if y'all want to hear those, let me know.
Unfortunately, due to foreseen circumstances that were well within my control, I will be late.
I'm gonna do another installment of creepy stuff that has happened in my house. So this one happens again in my son's room. This was whenever he was little, like he was probably a year and a half, maybe. He's 4 now. He was still sleeping in a crib in his room, so we had a baby monitor. We had one that, like, you have the little screen and you can see. Now we just have the one on our phone and we don't have the little screen. But anyway, we had it positioned where his crib was like pushed up against the wall, and then the baby monitor like looked over the crib so you could see directly into the crib. I'm not the type of person to normally dream and like remember my dream unless it's a scary dream. I only ever remember my nightmares. So one night I was having a nightmare and it freaked me out so bad. In my dream, I know this part was not real. I know it wasn't, because I woke up and I was like, that was fucking scary. So in my dream, I looked at the baby monitor to like see my son in his crib. And whenever I looked on the baby monitor, there was a grown man staring directly at the camera. Like, laying in his crib where my son should have been was a grown man. So I woke up like freaked out, so freaked out. So I was like wide awake after that happened. And I was like scared to look at the baby monitor because that's what happened in my dream. So I was scared to look. Finally, I got the courage to look at the baby monitor. So I looked at it. I see my son laying in the crib. And my son would sleep with a blanket, like a thin, you know, like a baby blanket, a little blanket. So the blanket, he was laying on his side. And the blanket was kind of like tucked up behind him. Like, he wasn't laying on the blanket, but it also was not covering him. So I'm sitting there looking at the baby monitor, and the blanket moves. The blanket like moves and covers my son. Not like all the way, like opens up and like covers him all the way, but like it moves and like covers his side. I could see my whole son, like I could see my son's whole body in this video, like in this baby monitor screen. He did not move. Only the blanket moved. And it was like so obvious. Like the blanket actually moved quite a bit. And I have no explanation for that. Nobody was in there, and his hands, like I could see both of his arms and his feet and legs. None of it moved. He did not move. So I don't know how it moved or what moved it.